It was a crisp Saturday morning in Minneapolis, where the late spring air had just the right mix of cool breeze and sunshine. Ethan Miller, a 34-year-old marketing associate, stood in front of his full-length mirror in his small suburban townhouse. He had bought the place 3 years ago, complete with a modest lawn, a mailbox at the curb, and a 2-car garage he barely used because half of it was filled with boxes of future projects that never happened. Today wasn't just any Saturday, it was his college reunion picnic, an event he had been both looking forward to and dreading. He reached into his closet, pushing past flannel shirts, hoodies, and a row of work blazers until he found the jeans. The pair he swore made him look like the cool guy, back in his 20s. He tugged them up, wiggling like a fish out of water. The denim stopped stubbornly halfway up his thighs. Ethan grunted, pulled harder, and finally got them over his hips, only to discover the button refused to meet the hole by a good 2 inches. Frustrated, he lay back on the bed, sucking in his stomach like a man trying to win an underwater contest. The button still wouldn't budge. His dog, a golden retriever named Max, tilted his head, clearly amused at his owner's struggles. Now here's a scene many of us know too well. You've got that one outfit, the jeans, the dress, maybe even a jacket, that's supposed to make you feel unstoppable. But when you finally pull it out, it greets you with betrayal. Suddenly, your clothes aren't just clothes anymore, they're critics. They remind you of extra late-night pizzas, of skipped gym sessions, of every time you said, "I'll start Monday." But here's the truth, your body isn't the enemy, and your confidence isn't hiding behind a button. The jeans didn't shrink, you grew, yes, but maybe you grew in ways that matter more than inches around the waist. Maybe you grew wiser, kinder, tougher. Confidence doesn't come from fitting into old fabric, it comes from fitting into your life as it is, right now. Later that afternoon, Ethan stopped by the local Target before heading to the reunion. He figured if his old jeans had declared war, maybe a new shirt could at least bring him peace. The store was buzzing, moms steering carts with toddlers, high schoolers picking out snacks for a sleepover, retirees comparing coupon deals in the dairy aisle. Ethan wandered into the men's clothing section, scanning racks of polos and casual button-ups. He picked out a navy blue shirt, safe, reliable, forgiving on the belly. While checking sizes, he bumped into Sarah Jenkins, his old neighbor. Sarah was in her late 40s, still rocking yoga pants and an oversized sweater, sipping from a giant iced coffee cup like it was fuel for survival. "Ethan? Wow, it's been ages," she said, giving him a once-over. "You look healthy." Healthy. The word stung like polite code for, "You've gained weight." Ethan laughed awkwardly, tugging at the shirt on the hanger. Sarah leaned closer. "Don't stress it. None of us fit into our old clothes. Life happens. Just don't let it steal your joy." She winked, tossed a family-size bag of chips into her cart, and rolled away. Here's the thing. People notice when you change, sure. But most of the time, they're too busy living their own messy lives to keep a scoreboard of your waistline. In America, where grocery stores sell both kale smoothies and triple stuff Oreos in the same aisle, nobody's winning at perfect. When someone says you look healthy, it's not a punishment, it's a perspective. Life did happen, and that's okay. The trick is not letting those small comments trap you in self-doubt. Confidence isn't in the size tag you're holding, it's in how you choose to carry yourself when someone notices the difference. By late afternoon, Ethan arrived at the college reunion picnic held at a spacious city park, complete with baseball fields, picnic shelters, and families tossing frisbees in the open grass. The air smelled of grilled burgers and sunscreen. Laughter and music floated through the breeze. Ethan had finally settled on khaki pants and the new navy shirt. Safe. Simple. He spotted his old roommate, Chris Thompson, a fitness trainer now, greeting people with bear hugs like he hadn't aged a day. Chris was wearing a snug polo that showed off arms sculpted like marble. Ethan's stomach sank. He suddenly felt like the before photo in a gym ad. But then came Jessica Miller, another classmate who had started a small bakery in town. She wore a floral sundress, her hair in a messy bun, carrying a tray of cupcakes. She didn't care about slimming silhouettes, she cared about frosting ratios. When she saw Ethan, she squealed, hugged him tightly, and said, "You look great." Same smile, same laugh, "I'd recognize you anywhere." Ethan laughed, realizing nobody cared about the pants size, just the person wearing them. Moments like this remind us, most reunions aren't fashion shows. They're about reconnecting, about trading old memories for new laughs. Sure, there will always be the guy with the six-pack abs and the girl who looks like she walked off a magazine cover. But you know what? They're not the stars of your story, you are. The world doesn't remember the inches you lost or gained, it remembers the way you made people feel, the way you showed up, the stories you carried with you. Confidence isn't stitched into your outfit, it's in your voice, your laugh, your presence. And those, my friend, never go out of style. After plates of burgers and potato salad, the group gathered for lawn games, cornhole, frisbee, even a tug-of-war rope that looked like it had seen better days. Ethan hesitated, nervous about breaking a sweat in his new shirt. But Chris called him out, "Come on, Ethan, you're on my team." Soon he found himself gripping the rope, digging his sneakers into the grass, and laughing harder than he had in months. They lost spectacularly, tumbling backward into the grass like kids at summer camp. Everyone was laughing, grass stains and all. As Ethan brushed dirt from his pants, he realized something. His shirt might wrinkle, his pants might fit a little too snug, but nobody cared. In fact, they cheered louder for his clumsy attempts than for the people who actually won. And here's the lesson, friends. Life isn't about looking picture perfect all the time. It's about grass stains, about laughter, about saying yes to the game even when you think you'll look silly. Your clothes may not fit perfectly, but your confidence can. And when you let yourself play, fall, laugh, and get back up, you discover something amazing. You fit into life just fine. As the picnic carried on, one of the organizers announced it was time for the group photo. Everyone groaned but shuffled into place on the grassy slope near the park's gazebo, the kind you'd find in postcards of Midwest summers. Ethan dreaded this part. He remembered old class photos where he always tried to hide in the back, pulling his shirt just so, angling his chin, praying nobody would notice what he noticed. This time, he found himself wedged between Chris, still flexing without trying, and Jessica, balancing a plate of leftover cupcakes. The photographer shouted, "Closer." Everybody squeeze in, and Ethan felt the edge of his belly brush against Chris's side. His instinct was to step back, but Jessica nudged him with her elbow. "Smile, Ethan. Come on, you've got the best grin in this group." So he did. Wide, unfiltered, unself-conscious. The shutter clicked. For once, Ethan wasn't thinking about how his shirt pulled across his stomach. He was thinking about how good it felt to laugh with people he cared about. And here's the truth, cameras don't capture perfection, they capture presence. Years from now, nobody will zoom in to analyze your waistline or whether your shirt looked a little tight. What they'll remember is the sparkle in your eye, the grin you didn't fake, the energy you brought to the moment. Confidence isn't about editing yourself into some polished version, it's about stepping into the frame, even when you feel imperfect. Because the memory isn't about your size, it's about your story. And your story deserves to be seen. After the photo session, the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. People lounged on picnic blankets, sipping sodas and sharing stories. Ethan wandered toward the refreshment table, reaching for a can of sparkling water, when he overheard two classmates chatting nearby. One of them, Daniel, a guy Ethan remembered as always running late to class, looked at him and said, "Man, I gotta say, you've got a confidence about you now. Back in school, you were quieter, always hanging back. But today, you're in the mix, laughing, leading, just different." In a good way. Ethan froze. A compliment he hadn't expected, one not about looks, but about presence. "Thanks," he said softly, realizing it meant more than any, "you've lost weight," comment ever could. Sometimes, the compliments that matter most aren't about your appearance at all. They're about the energy you bring into the room, the way you connect with people, the vibe you give off. In American culture, we're surrounded by ads and influencers shouting about abs, diets, makeovers. But the compliments that truly stick, the ones that change how you see yourself, rarely come from fitting into a pair of jeans. They come from being present, showing kindness, cracking jokes, being someone people are glad showed up. Confidence isn't about shrinking yourself down, it's about expanding the space you take up in people's hearts. As the evening went on, someone wheeled out a Bluetooth speaker and strung fairy lights between the picnic shelter posts. A makeshift dance floor appeared in the grass. Couples swayed to classic rock, kids jumped around to pop songs, and even the grandparents clapped along. Ethan stood on the edge, hands in his pockets, debating whether to join. Dancing had never been his strong suit, and he worried about looking awkward, about his shirt clinging too much when he moved. Then Jessica grabbed his arm. "Oh no you don't. Nobody escapes the dance floor tonight," she declared, dragging him into the circle. At first, Ethan shuffled like a man trying not to trip, but soon the rhythm took over. The laughter around him drowned out his insecurities. His feet stumbled, his belly jiggled, but he realized, everyone else looked just as silly. And they were loving it. By the time Sweet Caroline blasted through the speaker, Ethan was belting out the chorus with half the group, arms swinging, sweat on his forehead, confidence rising with every note. This is what freedom looks like, forgetting how you look, forgetting how you move, and just living. In a culture that tells us to sit still, stand straight, and fix ourselves before we're seen, dancing is rebellion. It's messy, it's sweaty, it's joyful. And here's the secret, nobody is watching you as closely as you think. They're too busy feeling their own beat, laughing at their own missteps. So let go. Confidence doesn't come from standing on the sidelines waiting for perfection, it comes from stepping onto the dance floor, belly jiggles and all, and saying, "This is me, and I'm here to enjoy it." Hours later, as the crowd dwindled and the fairy lights flickered in the warm night air, Ethan hugged his friends goodbye and drove home. The windows were rolled down, summer crickets humming outside. Back in his townhouse, he tossed his khakis and navy shirt onto the chair in his bedroom and stood once again in front of the mirror. The jeans that hadn't fit earlier still lay on the bed, mocking him. But now, instead of frustration, he felt acceptance. He picked them up, folded them neatly, and set them aside. Then he looked at his reflection. Hair a little messy from dancing, cheeks flushed from laughter, a smile he couldn't wipe away. Maybe confidence, he thought, isn't about growing back into old clothes. Maybe it's about growing into the person I am today. Max the golden retriever padded into the room, tail wagging, as if in agreement. And that's where the story lands. Not in the closet, not in the jeans, but in the reflection. Clothes may shrink or stretch, but the person in the mirror is the one you have to learn to stand with. So, here's the lesson. Grow your confidence, not just your tummy. Don't measure your worth by the inches around your waistline but by the laughter you share, the courage you show, and the joy you allow yourself to feel. Because at the end of the day, confidence is the only outfit that will never go out of style.
Daily happiness and motivation is hitting in. Like and subscribe.